Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Season Keepers, the show where the only two people we recommend keeping for the season is us. My name's Matt, aka Clean Sheet Wipeout.
My name's James, aka FPL Drug.
How you doing, mate? Good to speak to you.
Yeah, not too bad. Refreshed from the blackout. Obviously came back to see a load of debate and abuse, ironically.
I know.
Thankfully, none of it was racial, but just the typical kind of FPL beef stuff you see on Twitter. Those of you not on Twitter, maybe you're doing things right.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's not FPL without, or FPL Twitter with about a bit of beef, so it was quite interesting to come back and hear all the stories about who was shouting what, and obviously we've got the drama with FF Fest and stuff now as well, which we probably won't get into much, but yeah, you've got all that going on. And it was actually selfishly quite nice to have this social media blackout. I know it wasn't the whole point of it. The whole point was obviously trying to make a stand and, make a point that if we're not on the platform, stand against abuse, racism, sexism, all that stuff. But on a personal level, it was actually quite nice mentally, not being on social media for the weekend and not having to feel the need to tweet after like in every incident that was taking place, so that I was able to just sit and watch the Saints game and vent my own frustrations rather than being on my phone and reading about the red card and all that stuff. So it was quite good.
Yeah, I found myself paying more attention to the actual game itself rather than just endlessly scrolling.
Yeah, exactly. And for those on YouTube, you'll probably see that I'm sat on my sofa rather than on my usual pod spot. It's not because I'm lazy, it's because probably torn my ligaments in my left knee after playing football on Sunday, so that killed the bank holiday for weekend for me.
Yeah, not good.
You know all about that though, mate, don't you?
Yeah, I did my ACL a couple of years ago. God, most painful thing I've ever done. I've not broken a bone, but that must, I imagine, feels close.
Yeah, I knew straight away as well. I couldn't get up. I can't straighten my leg at the moment. Got to go back to the hospital tomorrow, so we'll wait and see. But enough of that chat about our personal lives. Let's jump straight into the games then. And first things first, obviously, Southampton won, Leicester won.
Yeah, and marred somewhat by another ridiculous decision. Obviously, Vestergaard clearly wins the ball. He obviously follows through, but he's already won the ball. It's just, and he gets sent off. It's just mad. Like the people reviewing these decisions are supposed to be qualified to judge these sorts of things, where the man in the street, the man in the pub can get it right more often than these people. It seems to be the case.
Yeah, and I'd understand if they were using the same scenario that they did the previous week, obviously with Balbuena, and they were trying to make a precedent. But the fact that Balbuena's was overturned, and then they've come out and said that the reason Vestergaard was sent off is because he's denied a clear goal scoring opportunity. Well, that's bullshit because he made the tackle. So he won the ball, and Vardy's not getting there probably arguably before the goalkeeper in that instance. It's not a red card. And we've come out and we've said that we're going to appeal it. And once again, I fully expect the appeal to be heard and the red card to be overturned.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's absolutely sort of farcical. But we did well, obviously, to take the lead in the game and come away with a point despite having obviously 10 men.
Oh, I feared the worst. Honestly, Friday night in the rain, I had horrible visions of that night. Obviously, the infamous night. I'm not going to mention the score because everybody does, but it was exactly the same scenario. After 10 minutes, someone gets sent off, and then we think, "Oh fuck, here come Leicester." But now I thought we played really well, and we actually dealt with going down to 10 men far better than we did previously. Obviously, we instantly brought off Teller. I really felt for him, obviously the youngster, but bringing on Salisu, ideal, and I thought he was brilliant when he came on. Played left centre back when he came on. And yeah, thought he was really, really good. I'd like to see more of him towards the end of the season.
I think we will, to be honest. Obviously, Hasenhüttl's come out and said he'll be playing Forster in goal for the next two, and then McCarthy for the following two, I think. So kind of a bit of certainty for those of you that own Forster. I've seen people talking about bench boosts. I wish I still had mine, but at least I know what weeks he in theory should play. But I think he's going to miss the game I actually want him, which is I think it was for 36, where Mendy has a tougher fixture at All Blanks.
Yeah.
And then I wanted Forster, so I'm a little bit screwed over there. But yeah, my transfer in for this week was obviously Pereira out. I saw that team news, which he posted just in time on Twitter.
Yeah, good old Sam.
Leicester. Yeah, Sam.
Sam Martin.
Yeah, Sam Martin. I was going to say Martin. I wasn't sure. Castagna I brought in, but I did look at Johnny Evans. And do you know where I ruled him out? I was like, oh, he's nearly as much as Castagna. I might as well just pay the full premium for Castagna. I was like, he ain't worth that. Like, and I did look at his record, and he has scored a couple of goals this season, and in seasons.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of a little bit annoyed that I went for Castagna.
Yeah, I scored against West Brom, was it? Got the assist against Crystal Palace, and then obviously scored against Southampton. So arguably on a very similar run of form to Castagna.
Yeah, it was frustrating. I didn't consider Fofana because I was worried about his minutes with Ramadan and the potential for him to not play. Obviously, he came off at half time.
They basically changed from the back three because, arguably they didn't need a back three against 10 men. But yeah, Fofana was the one to be sacrificed, which was unfortunate, but yeah, probably due to trying to rest him with Ramadan and whatnot. But frustrating is a Fofana own and Sky, that's for sure. Albeit it didn't really matter, but he would have easily hit passing tier. And I think he was on for tackle tier as well. I'm sure he was on already 2, maybe 3 tackles. So it was just frustrating.
Yeah. Onto the Crystal Palace Man City game.
Yeah.
I don't know if you wanted to add something else there, but
yeah. Crystal Palace 0, Man City 2, and one hell of a team sheet that we got to see at the start of this game.
Yeah, obviously Aguero starting. No Diaz, no Stones.
8 changes in total.
One of them to start, but just flip the squad upside down. Obviously looking ahead to tonight's game, which we're obviously very much looking forward to. But yeah, credit to them. I mean, the first half was a bit drab, a bit kind of a nothing affair. But eventually City did get going in the second half. Mendy got the assist, looked decent, but obviously a fantastic goal for Aguero.
Lovely finish.
Took it so well. It's like nothing's changed with him there. People were saying he could even potentially stay in the Premier League, which I'd love to see. I'd love to see him at another club, but we'll see, I guess.
I'm hearing or seeing all sorts of rumours that obviously like Everton would be interested, for instance, but I think it'd be really weird seeing Sergio Aguero play for another team in the Premier League. A bit like when Lampard obviously went to City from Chelsea for that season. It was so strange, but I honestly think Aguero might end up going home and going back to Argentina, possibly.
Yeah, I think that would be a nice sort of farewell for him. Yeah, that or even as he could go over to the MLS like a lot of people do, but I reckon he'd prefer the Argentine option.
It's just with the injuries that he's had this season, it would be a massive gamble for someone to take in the Premier League, obviously given the way that he's kind of come back and then got injured again and come back and deteriorated this season. And it's great to see him get his goal. I'm glad that, he's come back and he's got another goal in the Premier League because it's well deserved and it was a cracking finish. But I honestly don't think we'll see him in the Premier League next season.
Yeah, fair dues. I mean, it'd be a good signing, I'd say, for Everton, Spurs. I mean, I'm not sure if City would let him go to Spurs. I mean, I'm not sure how much say they'd have if his contract expires. But it's a shame to see him come to the end of his career, obviously.
Yeah, God, yeah. But yeah, talking obviously, we've got the PSG game tonight. We're recording on Tuesday the 4th. That bench that City had at the weekend was fucking unbelievable. But obviously, you'd expect that bench to be playing tonight. keep continuously see the camera pan to the bench, and you've got Foden, Gundogan, De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva, Mara. They're all there. Like Diaz. I was like, fuck it out. Surely that has to be one of the best benches ever in a Premier League team.
Definitely up there, I'd imagine.
One hell of a seven-a-side team, I tell you, and they don't even need a goalkeeper.
No. What do you think about the game tonight? I feel like they should have enough.
I think they'll have enough. Genuinely, I mean, obviously they've got the away goal and the away win, which is massive. But yeah, I think if they score tonight, it's going to be very difficult for PSG. It could be a draw, but no, I think Pep will have it in him this time to finally see City progress and obviously get to their first Champions League final.
Yeah, and potentially even obviously go on to win it, which I think is the ultimate aim for the owners, the fans, everyone.
I think they will. Genuinely, if they get through tonight, whether it be Chelsea or Real Madrid that get through in the other tie, I think Man City are better than both of them. So that there's no reason, why they shouldn't go on and win it.
This is the toughest test, I think. Like, this PSG team, much better team than Real Madrid.
Oh yeah, exactly. Like it brings back visions of when PSG played Barcelona, and obviously everybody thought the tie was over, and then PSG absolutely tore Barcelona apart. Obviously, we hope we don't see that tonight, but because I'd like to see City progress. I understand that some people don't, given the money that they've poured in and the things that have gone on behind the scenes and whatnot. But I'd quite like to see Pep get to a Champions League final with this team. So
I'd quite happily see them win it, to be honest.
Yeah. Right, let's jump on then. And a game that took me by surprise and pissed me off at the same time with Bamford. It was Brighton 2, Leeds 0.
Yeah, a game I didn't really expect such a dominant performance from Brighton. It was quite easy for them.
It was.
Welbeck took his goal very well. Another goal for him and an assist. He obviously won the pen, which was put away pretty coolly by Gross.
Yep.
And Leeds' pressing just didn't seem to work as well as it normally did. Like Brighton didn't seem too phased by it, to be honest. They seemed quite composed, and I don't know. It almost feels like Leeds like the challenge of being an underdog, whereas they weren't really an underdog for this game.
Yeah, and honestly, I think the absence of Rafinha over the past few games has been massive for Leeds because
that's a very good.
It feels like there's now a difficulty without Rafinha to get Bamford involved in the game. And he looks so isolated and obviously got brought off in the 58th, 59th minute. And then they brought on Rodrigo, but again, didn't really make an impact. And having that lone striker and obviously trying to get the wingers involved in the game, Rafinha is so good at that. Whereas I genuinely just don't think they had the quality on the pitch to, get Bamford involved in this scenario. And hopefully Rafinha's back fit sooner rather than later because Leeds are struggling without him.
Yeah, completely agree with that. He's been a big miss, and yeah, they had an outside chance of getting Europe, but I think that's kind of gone. To be honest,
I think that's gone. The other player I was incredibly impressed with, and it's a player I continuously regret taking out of my Sky team for Azpilicueta, was Lewis Dunk. I thought he was brilliant. Commanded that back line so well. Obviously got man of the match for it. And I would be incredibly disappointed if he isn't in that 26-man England squad for the Euros.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, to be honest. It's definitely a good squad player to have there, someone to step in. Say if anyone was to get injured. He's reliable. You know what you're going to get from him. He's feels less risky than, say, I feel like Harry Maguire would make more mistakes over the course of 10 games than Lewis Dunk.
Yeah, probably. I mean, you'd expect Maguire to be part of that starting lineup, but in a scenario where you've got obviously the names that have been bandied about previously, Tyrone Mings, Connor Cody, right? If you put Lewis Dunk in with those two other players, Who are you picking out of those three?
Well, yeah, you go Dunk, wouldn't you?
Yeah, he's the only one that hasn't been spoken about. I just don't get it. But hopefully Southgate is seen that Dunk's, impressive performances, particularly in the second half of the season. Now that it's been expanded to a 26-man squad as well, I think he fully deserves a call up.
Yeah, I'd agree. He sort of embodies that kind of English spirit as well. He's I imagine be someone good to have in the dressing room.
Yeah.
And to sort of give a bit of confidence to whoever we start in goal, be it Pope or whoever, Henderson.
Yeah, I fully agree, but we'll have to wait and see, I guess. But yeah, Lewis Dunk is my biggest regret of the season, massively in Sky. It's cost me, at least I think 40 points if you include the captaincy and whatnot. It's just frustrating.
Oh, I'd imagine so. I mean, we spoke about their tough run in Sky, but then he's just been picking up points left, right, centre.
Yeah.
Captain game days. He's been a dream for my team, and I think the only reason why he's still there is due to how little transfers I have, not through tactical planning.
No, exactly. You've done well, and it's definitely a lesson I'm going to learn for next season. If a player is continuously, say, picking up passing tiers at the back, Brighton play that style of football, I shouldn't really have discounted the fact that, if they do pick up a clean sheet, for instance, he's very likely to, get the tiers and potentially man of the match. And in this scenario, he got man of the match. So, yeah, something to learn for next season, that's for sure. Going to win the 50K next year.
You might do, mate. You might do. Can you pause it?
And we'll move on to Chelsea then, when Chelsea 2, Fulham 0.
Yep. Havertz, obviously, no one really on him in the sort of official FPL. Maybe a few punted in Sky, but
3.6% in FPL.
Yeah, exactly. I think his returns are too sporadic, and it's too much of a I think you're only going to be bringing him into your team if you're like 1 mil plus. I don't think anyone else is going to take a punt on him when you've got the likes of Lingard and other players doing so well around him and lower prices. I think it would be a bit silly to just sort of chuck all that money at Havertz.
Agreed. It's a bit like Gareth Bale in that scenario. Obviously, the minutes have been managed quite carefully recently. For instance, Havertz, played a couple of 90 minutes, then he plays 18, then he plays 90, then he goes missing. Doesn't play at all against West Ham. Obviously, comes in for Fulham and bags himself 2 goals. But it's been frustrating with Chelsea. That forward line. It's been very difficult to pick a player. I guess the only player you would probably have gone near for consistency is Mason Mount. And once again, Mount's obviously popped up with an assist.
Yeah, same for me. I mean, I think I've got Mount and Sky, and then that's it for kind of Chelsea attackers across all games. Obviously, another loss for Fulham, and
yeah, they're done.
Relegation is looking sort of increasingly likely for them. Even though at one point we were sat here thinking we were fairly confident that they'd stay up.
I know, yeah. How things have changed, but yeah, I think Fulham is as good as buried now. To be honest, so with Newcastle, yeah, we'll come on to it, but Newcastle I think have already got the points that keeps them up, and it will be Fulham, West Brom, that join Sheffield United and go down. But again, what's a frustrating team sheet, particularly in Sky. Obviously, with the Man City game being the early kickoff and many of us not seeing Dias or Stones or Gundogan in the squads, a lot of us then went with the next best captaincy option for the game, Azpilicueta, on the bench, rested obviously for the Champions League game, and a lot of us ended up with no captaincy for the Saturday in Sky. It was summed up the game week really.
Yeah, dreadful. Both of us sat on him, captaincy. Didn't even come on to get us something.
No.
But yeah, it's tough, especially with a nice, tasty fixture like Fulham.
Exactly. When they keep a clean sheet, when the defenders are getting passing tiers, it's one of those perfect scenarios. And just misses out. It's so annoying.
You've got a taste of how I felt with Pereira a couple of weeks ago.
Absolutely. But seeing as we discussed, obviously the City possibility for their Champions League, Chelsea play Madrid tomorrow night. What do you reckon?
It's a tough one. I mean, the game was excellent as well. The first leg, the start was just electrifying, end to end. But yeah, I'm not sure, to be honest. What if Chelsea have enough?
Yeah, it's tough. I have a feeling Real Madrid are going to edge it. That would be my prediction.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is, if the fans were there, I think Chelsea would have had that edge.
Yeah.
Obviously, with it being at Stamford Bridge, but because it isn't, that kind of advantage is kind of not really there.
No.
And Benzema, well, class goal in the first leg and very clinical. I feel like he could do some damage to that Chelsea defence.
Agreed. No, agreed. I think Benzema could probably make the difference against Chelsea. And if I had to put a bet on, I'd probably say 2-1 Madrid would be my guess.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that, to be honest.
Yeah. Right, let's jump on to the final game on the Saturday. And what was actually a really enjoyable game to watch. It was Everton 1, Aston Villa 2.
Oh, fantastic game of football, this. Was relieved after watching that Man City Palace game the same day.
Yeah.
And yeah, fantastic performance from Villa. El Ghazi again, getting a return. No Grealish, obviously, still. But Villa have managed to come away with a win anyway. Obviously, Calvert-Lewin's obviously very happy to be back on the score sheet after sort of a bit of a blip, to be honest. He went a solid couple of games without a goal. Obviously, he missed out a few as well, but I'm sure he's relieved.
Yeah, I expect so. And obviously, Digne got the assist. So for those that obviously missed out on the clean sheet, they still got the attacking return from Digne. And I know there was a few people in the community punting on him. I think he's up to 9.5%. And obviously, with Everton's double game week in mind, a couple of people were starting to punt, and then they've got 2 reasonable fixtures after that before City, the last game of the season. And in that double game week, Villa, they play them again. So
yeah, they were very much actually in my thoughts looking for a replacement for Pereira, obviously because they have that double, but then they also play in 36.
Yeah.
Which prior to the sort of Liverpool Man United chaos, I was looking like I was going to really struggle to field anywhere close to 11 players. So rather than doing the flip, going to Castagna only to take him out later, I was contemplating bringing in the likes of Michael Keane, Luca Dean. The thing is, with Luca Dean, I couldn't afford him. 6.1 million.
Yeah.
And I had 5.8. I think he's just a little bit too expensive for me. He can use those attacking returns, but would have been more inclined to go with the likes of Holgate. But as we've seen now, they didn't even get the clean sheet anyway. So
no, and obviously it was Holgate's mistake that let Watkins in initially. So it'll be interesting to see if there's any repercussions of that. I don't expect there to be, but it was a poor mistake to make, and I think Everton were just being a bit lax at the back. But Watkins, good on him, took advantage of it, and then slotted home really well.
No, he's looked really good as Ollie Watkins since he got called out on Twitter.
He has, yeah. What do you make of this whole Jack Grealish going on, and obviously the fact that he's coming back, he'll be back. Oh no, there's been a setback now. Oh well, we've got to have scans. Oh, he's on the pitch, but he's not kicking a football. It just doesn't make sense to me. I genuinely think there is already a deal in place for Jack Grealish to move on in the summer for a lot of money, and therefore Jack Grealish has agreed not to play football for Aston Villa again this season. Now, I might be completely wrong, and that's just me being, very skeptical. But it just feels odd that there has been this continuous bullshit from Dean Smith about Jack Grealish's fitness and when he is and isn't coming back.
That's a big statement. But the longer it has gone on, the more it does look a bit shady.
Yeah.
However, say if that you're wrong. If I was Dean Smith, I wouldn't even bother playing him till next season anyway, because you've got not really too much left to play for. You've got only 3 or 4 or 5 games left. If he was to get injured again, you'd feel stupid. Yeah. I feel like now, seeing as he's not played him for so long, just fucking rest him until next season. Yeah. Get him ready back for pre-season, ready for next season. However, obviously, what you say, yeah, maybe there's something deeper going on. Maybe he's upset. He's not happy. Wants to move. Wants to go to United. Wants to go to someone else.
Okay, no, it'll be Jack Grealish to City. You've heard it here first. It'll be Jack Grealish to Man City in the summer.
There you go. We got a pound shop in there, in the mix.
I think that's where he'll go. Genuinely, I think with Sterling being so out of sorts at City recently, and obviously he's fallen down the pecking order, I think Jack Grealish is the type of player that Pep Guardiola would go for.
I'd like to. Interesting.
No, for sure.
Too much creativity in my OG.
might do, but it's, I don't know. It just feels like the move. I don't think he'd suit Man United at all with the midfielders that they've got.
You don't?
No, I really don't think they would. When you've already got the likes of Paul Pogba, Bruno Fernandes kind of running the show, and then the way that they play, they've then obviously got, Greenwood, Rashford, and or Martial. I just don't see where Grealish slots into that. Whereas Grealish very much.
So who would you place in City?
For me, it would be Sterling. I genuinely think it would be. I can envisage seeing City next season, providing they don't get someone like Haaland, having very much this fluid like front 3, front 4 again, and he could play a very similar role to the likes of Riyad Mahrez, but on the other side of the pitch.
Okay,
but we'll see. Right, let's jump on to Sunday's games then, and a game that I missed initially. Obviously, having played football myself, and then ended up in hospital. So I missed this one. It was Newcastle 0, Arsenal 2. I'll let you run the show.
Well, I'll do my best, but I also missed this. I was in Leeds. I went to Leeds for the day. But yeah, a important win for Arsenal. 2-0 away at Newcastle, and a little bit disappointing from Newcastle to not actually score. I thought Newcastle would score prior to this game.
Yeah,
and obviously,
carry on.
Yeah. Obviously, Saint-Maximin, Wilson, they've been impressing. But yeah, no goal for them.
No, a lot of the chat before this game was it could be one to target for Newcastle, and obviously Arsenal, again, very heavily rotated with focus being on trying to make up the ground in the Europa League this week. Aubameyang did get a start, and to be fair, probably made the difference. He got himself a goal and an assist in the game. Another talking point was the fact that Leno, as we predicted in the last pod, missed out, and Matt Ryan came back in, obviously got himself a clean sheet. Didn't really have to do much, to be fair, but could we see Ryan continue in that position through to the end of the season? Who knows? But he's had a couple of appearances now, and arguably played relatively well in both.
Yeah, maybe he's still training like a beast.
Probably so, mate. Probably so. The big question will be, will he play in the Europa League on Thursday?
Very good question. I don't know.
No.
Obviously, us holding owners have a bit of dilemma now. Probably need to get rid of him. Obviously, even though there is a double, he's obviously lost his place by the looks of it to David Luiz.
You say that though, but David Luiz came off injured in the 50. Yeah, I'm looking at it, and I had a little look at it before we came on the pod, and yeah, David Luiz came off. I think it was the 52nd minute. And from what I'm reading, it looked like a potential hamstring injury. I've not read anything else about the injury since then, so it's something to keep an eye on. But don't go make a note just yet, because yeah, if Luiz is out again, Holding inevitably just comes straight back in.
Yeah, I'd be holding. So very tempting.
You and your
That's music to my ears. I've perked up so much here in that injury.
There you go, mate. There you go.
Hoping for ligament damage.
I don't wish that on anybody. The pain that I'm in right now, I tell you. Right.
Yeah.
The second game on the Sunday then, and what became the Gareth Bale show. It was Spurs 4, Sheffield United 0.
Yeah, well, Bale did what we were all hoping Kane was going to do.
Yeah, fucking joke.
Obviously, thankfully, I guess we're all in the same Kane captaincy fail-shaped boat.
Yeah.
But it's still a bit painful to not see those points come rolling in and to see Gareth Bale sweeping them up. I mean, I wonder if Mourinho's kind of looking at this. Obviously, he benched Bale quite a few times. And Gareth Bale's really sending a message back to him, I guess, showing him the quality that he can just produce.
It's hilarious. Like, arguably, the reasons that Mourinho put out there that he was dropping Bale was because of his commitment and, his work on the pitch and whatnot, tracking back. Bale was doing all of that in this game. He was tracking back. He was making tackles on the edge of his own area. The run that obviously he made for the goal that Son played him through, unbelievable. The touch, the finish that, from Aurier's assist for his third, stunning. So if Gareth Bale was to play like that for the rest of the season, then we're going to be wanting to jump on him. But the question is, does he play every game for the rest of the season under Ryan Mason? Can you really drop a man that's just scored a hat-trick?
No, in theory, no. But we don't know. We don't know if Mason likes him as a player. Mason might even get replaced. He is only temporary, isn't he?
Yeah, I expect him to be. I think he's in charge to the end of the season. But obviously,
no. It's too risky for me given his price.
Exactly. It's 9.1 mil, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I feel more comfortable on a Bruno, a Salah, KDB. Bale, it just feels a bit risky.
Yeah, the only concern I've got, I mean, if I was on a free hit this week for game week 35, albeit most people would be targeting the double game week players. Given that Spurs play Leeds, I genuinely think Gareth Bale would be another very good option this week.
Yeah, I mean, other than Leeds, obviously been very hard to predict. Leeds could come out and tear Spurs a new one, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it'll be a good game.
But on the flip side of that, there's obviously returns there for Bale potential. Obviously, where Leeds go gung ho, there's room to get in behind, and Gareth Bale still got a fair amount of pace.
Oh, he does.
Obviously, excellent finisher, can score some cracking goals. So, yeah, you'd want Bale on a free hit with those doubles.
Yeah,
smattered around.
Exactly. I genuinely think Bale would be a good option, and I would not be surprised to see his ownership go up again this season. Not this game week. Right. Well, let's move on to the two Monday night games then. And first things first, it was West Brom 1, Wolves 1.
Yeah, the Black Country derby. A little bit pissed off to see Wolves take the lead, only to concede as a Cody owner. Wolves. Yeah, they've struggled to keep clean sheets on this good run. Only I think Fulham is where they picked up a clean sheet. I think the rest they've struggled.
Yeah, and it was a very fortunate goal for Fabio Silva. Pretty sure it was Bartley's clearance that then comes back off of Silva's foot his trailing leg, obviously, when he goes to strike it, then just lobbed Sam Johnston. And then West Brom got the equaliser from Diagne But in fairness, Wolves should have run away with this. Sam Johnson, once again, unbelievable. We talk about him time and time again, but made 9 saves in this game. Comes away obviously with 2 bonus points after not keeping a clean sheet. Without Johnson in there, Wolves could have easily scored 3, maybe 4 goals.
Yes, I mean 7 points without a clean sheet is insane.
Yeah,
to be honest.
And it was good to see Wolves finally mix up their lineup a little bit. You had the likes of Vitinha, Aït-Nouri, obviously Fabio Silva finally got a start, and I thought they played really well and they looked hungry again. Whereas they've been quite lax recently. I think the players that have been playing, they know that they're safe. There isn't a lot to play for this season. They haven't been great. So it was really good to actually see Wolves try a few things with their lineup and test out a few more players this season. And hopefully, for Wolves fans, they get to see a bit more of that between now and the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean, it gives them a bit of spice. They tried out a new defender, obviously. It clearly wasn't working the last few games. So yeah, fair play to him for actually changing things. Obviously, there's nothing worse than seeing a manager do the same thing over and over again, despite not getting the results.
Agreed. Right, well, let's move on to the final game of the FPL game week, and an absolute cracker to watch. To be fair, it was Burnley 1, West Ham 2.
Yep, the continuation of the good form of Chris Wood, a player not many are on. I've only even seen a few on Twitter, so then there's not many on them. But credit to Chris Wood, another goal for him. I think it was a pen, wasn't it? He won.
Yeah, really, really good win as well.
Yeah, struck with conviction. He's always a threat from corners as well. Someone that's always got a chance of scoring. Someone you'd always tend to. I don't think I'd feel comfortable benching Chris Wood if I owned him.
No, not at all.
I own Vidra and I bench Vidra because I just think he's not as likely to score as Chris Wood. But yeah, no credit to Chris Wood. Obviously, Antonio returned for West Ham.
Yeah, that was a surprise. I know, it was an absolute surprise. I think we got word that Antonio was starting, and obviously when the team sheet came out, I made a bit of a joke in the Slack channel that I'm in for Planet FPL, just saying, sweepstake on how long Antonio's hamstrings last. Well, he lasted the full 90 minutes and he scored 2 cracking goals and probably could have had a hat trick.
Yeah, and for what, 6 million? He's so cheap in this game. It's just, yeah, as you say, the hamstrings. He's sort of made of glass. You don't know if and when he's gonna pull up, because he can, like, he might get to what's worse is like when he actually gets like a minor injury and you won't even know if he's playing the next game.
Yeah,
you almost want that real bad injury for some certainty, so you have to take him out.
Exactly. And I mean, the fact that we then see him play 90 minutes must be a positive, because you would have expected him to have been the one to come off for Jared Bowen when they instead subbed Ben Rama, if they were a little bit worried about that. But the fact that they've given the full 90 surely is a positive. And after, Everton, they've actually got 3 decent fixtures to end the season in Brighton, West Brom and Southampton. How many people do you reckon will be coming off of Kelechi Iheanacho and potentially go into Mikel Antonio?
I mean, I think that depends on how Antonio performs in the next game.
Yeah.
If Antonio was to score in the next game, I think it would dramatically leap up, because people would see the opportunity.
Yeah.
Whereas I think if you blank the next game, I think he might go a little bit somewhat under the radar, and it will only be the few kind of punters on Twitter and like the top Sky players that might actually do that move.
Yeah, I'm very tempted in FPL to make it. Even if he blanks against Everton, if he gets another 90 minutes, looks sharp, I think I might take that punt. 6.4 million, 4.8% owned. It's towards the end of the season. I think the only way I'm going to potentially beat my personal best is maybe by taking a punt or two towards this stage of the season, so it might pay off.
Yeah, it may well do. Push for it, mate. I think you can do it.
Yeah. Fingers crossed. I think
see how high you can go.
I was gonna say I think it's 40K is my PB. Nowhere near your personal best. Nowhere near.
The magical 5K finish from last season.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I love. So thank you for bringing it up.
You're welcome. So you deserve that. It was a cracking finish last season, mate. But another player I was really impressed with, and it was actually good to see him get a start, was Benrahma. I mean, he obviously got his assist for Antonio's goal. He looked so desperate to score, bless him. Like any chance that he got, he hit it, honestly. And he really, I think he's a player that needs that first goal for West Ham, because as soon as he gets it, I think, it'll settle him down a little bit. And you could see the frustration on Moyes on this touchline when, he either skied it over the bar or just tried that little bit too hard. I think it was really unfortunate, but again, with Ramadan, fair play to him, obviously, for playing with such intensity, particularly from the start of the game. And yeah, he got subbed. I think it was the 70 odd minute. But Benrahma could be another nice little differential, obviously, for people that are willing to take that punt. I wouldn't personally, given the minutes and the returns that he's given you. But at 5.9 million, arguably a really good pick for those final three fixtures.
Yeah, I don't doubt his talent, but the minutes is a concern for me. Looking at it recently, this is even before Ramadan, so yeah, hopefully, I think next season maybe will be his season where he starts to sort of break into that first team consistently.
Yeah, no, I really like the fluidity of it was Lingard, Benrahma, Antonio, and obviously Lanzini was kind of in behind, and it just looked so good. Although it kind of took away from Lingard, which is a little bit of a worry. I thought Lingard was largely anonymous, other than the one shot that he had on goal towards the end of the game. But the primary focus was around Benrahma and Antonio in this game, and it was a little bit worrying to watch. But that could very well be the other way in the next game or two. So it's something to keep an eye on.
I hope so. I'm not going to be jumping off like it feel a bit too reactionary.
Yeah.
If you can hear in the audio hailstones, there's a lot of hailstones coming down in Manchester right now.
Is someone like throwing things at your window? Have you got hail?
It is pissing down.
Bloody hell! We've got bright blue skies in sunny Dorset. So
it's hammering it down.
Nice. Well, hopefully it doesn't smash your windows, mate. Right. No. Obviously, we've only covered 9 games there. There should have been Manchester United versus Liverpool. Many of us, obviously, with 3-4 players in that game at least. What did you make of the demonstrations? Because obviously it happened during the blackout periods. Neither of us, have mentioned anything about it online because we're staying away. And the only way I kept up with it fully without reading about it today was on Sky Sports News. But what's your opinion on it all?
I agree with the principle of protesting what they were protesting about. But it's when they broke into the stadium, and then that's when things, I think, took a turn for the worse.
Yeah.
Obviously, people were throwing the cameras, damaging things. Obviously, a copper got hit in the face. I think it should have stayed outside the ground. I think they could have made their point with outside the ground, chanting, making their voice heard. But I guess they felt there was an opportunity there to break into the ground to obviously stop the game. And obviously that has had a big impact, but just don't cause damage. Just don't do, like, it kind of damages your argument. It allows the media to then paint you as thugs rather than protesters.
Yeah,
which is ultimately what you don't want.
Exactly. It kind of takes away from the protest. And again, like I'm with you, I completely understand why they were protesting, and I'm all for it. Make a stand against the Glazers and the way that you don't agree with the ownership and obviously the ESL, which we won't talk about. But once they entered that stadium, even then, fair enough. Keep it relatively peaceful. Move out when you're asked and whatnot. But when you're then throwing I seen the video of the lad that picks up the cameraman's obviously tripod. This guy's probably a freelance journalist, freelance cameraman. He's had his tripod launched from the platform that he's on, and it smashes on the floor. That poor guy's now got to pay, to get another tripod. He might not earn a lot of money, and now he's got to pay for that, all because some guy thought it'd be funny to go up there, pick it up, and throw it away. I didn't get that, and then obviously you've got the beer can incident and the flare. Yeah, Graham Souness, I thought he was an idiot on the football on the TV because he was coming out as if he was like fearing for his life. Well, it's bullshit because Jamie Carragher and Gary Neville were on the touchline there, and they said they never once felt threatened. And Souness, I think Planet FPL mentioned it on the pod that I listened to, and it actually reminded me, and I looked into it. Yeah, Souness was the one that in the Turkish derby put the Galatasaray flag in the center of the pitch. So you can't then start fucking banging on about protest as if that's the type of cunt you were.
No, yeah, exactly. That's a very ballsy thing to do in a fierce Turkish derby. It's quite an iconic image. That I quite like that image.
I was
Like
gonna say,
just him planting the flag.
I hadn't really read about it much, but I looked into it today before podding, and yeah, that image, it's just him with the flag. I'm like, fuck you now. Oh, I can't stand Souness when he's on there. I tell you.
No, yeah, I completely disagree with like the sensationalizing of it. Like he was fine, he was safe. No, they're not going to go after fucking Graham Souness. They don't care about Souness. They care about the owners.
Exactly. The benefit for us as FPL players of that game being postponed is we potentially get a very tasty double game week 35, which hasn't been confirmed yet, but Liverpool could well play Southampton and West Brom in that double game week 35 because in order to squeeze in that Man United game, they have to probably bring that West Brom game forward to then allow Man United to be in game week 36. We do, however, obviously have to wait for official confirmation, but that's what Ben Crellin's predicting. I think Ian Parron, and then I saw in the Slack channel that's what James from Planet FPL seems to be thinking as well. So it feels logical, but we know with the Premier League sometimes logic doesn't quite prevail. So we'll have to wait and see.
No, takes away a bit of the pain from having just 8 players this game week for both of us.
Fuck me, yeah.
Yeah, we'll get them in 36, which is much needed for me because that was looking like a big problem.
Yeah, and the fact that I've got triple Liverpool. So, I mean, if they're doubling in 35 now, that's brilliant for me. And what looked like the ideal captaincy for Bruno Fernandes, Salah by far outweighs that prospect with the fixtures against Southampton and West Brom compared to Bruno, who play Villa and Leicester.
Agreed.
Right. Talking about our shite FPL game weeks. Do we even have to talk about them? Yeah, we might as well. How many points did you get this week with your massive 8 players?
36.
You beat me.
Not great. Only really returns from Son and Mendy, and that's about it, really.
Yeah, shite for me as well. I got 30. Real returns, Ian Archer and Son. That was it. Saw a 10k drop, which I can't complain about, down to 50k, but still happy where I am. You know, it's been a shite game week when you look at the average and it's 39 points.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolute dog shit. But yeah, like we said, I'm more looking forward to this week, and fingers crossed we get some information about the doubles relatively soon, because that could be, I think that has a real implication on the moves that I want to make this week. I've got 2 free transfers, and I was originally going to look at moving on Son, but I might not, depending on budget and obviously depending on who plays for United in the Europa League this week. I may well go to someone like Mason Greenwood rather than trying to go Bruno Fernandes. But we shall see.
Fair enough.
Right, let's jump on to the Sky game. And, as we've spoken about, another really difficult week with captaincy fails and blanks. For me, 39 points, not best, and just about clinging on to that top 100. I've dropped down to 89th overall. Still got 3 transfers left, so I'm probably going to use them to cover off the 2 single fixtures that we've got coming up. But I think it's just time to have a little bit of fun with them, to be honest.
Yeah, why not? Take a punt. Try and keep in that top 100. I check it. I check to see where your name is.
I'm still in there.
You were 89. Yeah, I thought you weren't going to be there, to be honest. I thought you were going to drop out. But yeah, you're hanging in. You're hanging in there.
Yeah, all right. I think Ian Archer was the only performer in my team, really. Obviously, Calvert-Lewin got 9 points, and then I shipped him out for bringing Harry Kane in, thinking, perfect. Kane will be the biggest captaincy hole that we could get that game. Nah, fuck all. Whereas I saw a few people had captained on Bale, and fair play to them, for this time of the season. But I think the biggest thing for this week is obviously these single game days that are coming up. So we've got Leicester Newcastle on the 7th of May. Most of us have already got coverage for that. But looking ahead, obviously Monday the 10th and Tuesday the 11th are 2 single game days. So Monday the 10th is Fulham Burnley, and then Tuesday the 11th is Southampton Crystal Palace. What are you intending to do with your limited transfer?
Yeah, well, I obviously have 1 transfer left in my better team, and I don't have any of those players from those 4 teams.
Not many
from
do.
both of those game days. So I think I'm just going to have to just ride them and go without captaincy and hope they're as boring as we imagine them to be.
Yeah, it's understandable. With my 3 transfers, I think we're very unlikely to get any more single game days. Obviously, with the Premier League agreeing that I think the final 2 game weeks, they're going to start allowing fans back. So we might see more of a congested fixture schedule then. So for me, a lot of people will probably move on to maybe Nick Pope for that Burnley fixture. Is coverage. I think he'll be quite popular. I may well go from Ian Archer to Chris Wood. Arguably, could have done it a while ago from DCL to Chris Wood and would have benefited. If Luke Disable had mentioned it before, but I think Chris would be a good option for that game day. And then on the Tuesday the 11th, Saints Crystal Palace, I think Zaha might be quite popular with a few people. For me, I've not been impressed with Crystal Palace at all. I think they're very much on the beach. I saw a table, and I think they're 20th for a lot of stats like XG, XA, passing, that kind of information. Zaha looked disinterested, particularly at the weekend, and I think Hodgson came out saying that they're managing an issue, so he might not even feature. We'll obviously get the team sheet for Sky, but yeah, I think I may well just go for someone like James Ward-Prowse, with his free kick ability, with Ings not being on the pitch, takes pens, obviously scored the pen against Leicester. I think I might just punt on someone like him. Or for those with Vestergaard still, he hasn't got you any points so far, but this could be a game day where he does pick up that clean sheet passing tier and gets you a nice haul.
Yeah, those 2 teams don't appeal to me at all. Like, it just screams you bringing in captain in Zaha and ending up on 4 points. That's just what it feels like.
Exactly. And then do you really want to hold Zaha for the rest of the season? But
no, you don't want him in your team.
No. Whereas the reason I quite like picks such as Chris Wood is because, like you said before, he can pick up a goal in like any game. So I wouldn't be worried, and I wouldn't be worried about him not starting. And again, with someone like Prowse, he gets the odd assist, gets the odd goal, gets passing tier. And he's captain at the end of the day, and he plays basically every minute of every game, and he wants to. So again, it's not a player that I'd expect to miss out through rotation towards the end of the season.
Definitely.
So, right, let's jump on to Fantasy Champman then, and We'll touch on last week's scores before we get into the dilemmas that we're going to be having this week. How did you get on?
Yeah, another relatively poor week for me. 46 points and a small red arrow. Mainly down to, obviously, I've got 10 men. No Zapata. Obviously, we knew that. No Zohti.
Yeah.
No Samba. No Hippier. Hippier being the shock. But Veron, Van Nistelrooy, Neville did okay for me. But other than that, it was a bit of a letdown this game week.
Yeah, when those team sheets were coming flooding in, obviously, like you, I ended up on 10 men. Hippier missing out, Doherty missing out, Sylvester missing out, and Petkov decided not to show up this time either, which was frustrating. But yeah, my front line saved my game week, gave me 60 points. I had
it was outrageous.
Alan Shearer, Thierry Henry, and Ruud van Nistelrooy. Oh, I loved
Absolutely ridiculous. I couldn't believe it when I was watching the stream. I was like, your strike force is on fire.
Yeah, I can hear those hailstones again, mate.
It is ridiculous.
But I think with that strike force, it does weaken my midfield a little bit, and I need to resolve that. When I do eventually decide to wildcard. But obviously, big news was the team leak before the not the team leak, the leak before the blackout, and the knowledge that John O'Shea is starting for Man United, which screams Rep 12 to me. And then having listened to a couple of pods and watched the CM Fantasy stream today, is very much risky for Man United with O'Shea starting. Yes, Roque Jr. is injured, so obviously that increases the chances of O'Shea featuring. But I think in the majority of the 15 sims that CM Fantasy showed on his YouTube, it was either partial or like full rotation for Man United when O'Shea played.
Not good, especially as someone that owns their two best premium assets, Veron and Van Nistelrooy. It's a bit concerning.
Yeah, no, I've got Van Nistelrooy, Chadwick, and Sylvester, and obviously you've got Neville, don't you? With Veron and Van Nistelrooy. Yeah. And yeah, I'm just concerned that all three miss out and I'll be fucked. But I don't want to get rid of them, because if they do play, I expect them to haul in the game. That they look exceptional against Blackburn. And to be fair, I'm seeing a lot of people chat about moving Van Nistelrooy on to the likes of Alan Shearer and Thierry Henry. I'm not in that problem because I've got those two strikers who are probably the two of the better strikers to have this week. Henry looks exceptional, but I may still captain Van Nistelrooy and then vice captain Thierry Henry, because then I've got Van Nistelrooy as the coverage in case it's not a full rep. And then if he doesn't play, Henry comes in. The bigger dilemma for me is what move I make, because at the moment I'm playing the likes of Alexanderson, Brian Hughes, which I'm not particularly happy with. I might look to. I'm 0.5 away from bringing in Pires, but I may look to gamble on someone like Freddie Ljungberg. My only worry is the fact that Arsenal rotate their wingers, and the last thing I want to see is bringing in Ljungberg and then he doesn't fucking play, and then it's more of a problem.
True. That is a bit of a gamble there. I feel like Pires would be the safer pick, but
yeah, 100%. I'm 0.5 away. I'd have to take a hit to bring Pires in.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah,
shit.
And I don't know what to do. So I'm gonna have to have a think about it. I'm definitely far from locked in. As for the community team, we got absolutely spanked by Skynet last week by like 30 points, which draws everything level. And it's quite interesting looking at the table for that, because we're now level on points again. And in terms of points scored, like overall points scored, there's 1 point in it between the two. So it's really tight. Yeah. It's a lot better than I thought it would be. It's actually been really enjoyable. So we'll obviously tweet out about captaincy and potential choices there, because big news was Michael Owen, who I believe you own, is crocked until he's out for the season. And obviously you've got him, And the community team brought him in last week. Fucking idiots.
Yeah, fucking unbelievable. Kind of on your advice last week, actually. I took a -4 to bring Owen in, which was obviously it was a good fixture. It's home against Millwall.
Exactly, it was a good shout, and he just did nothing.
And he did nothing. And now the bastard's out till game week 38, I think it was.
Yeah, he's done. He's done.
Yeah, so obviously he'll be leaving my team. It's a case of whether I then take a hit and say use some of the funds from, I don't know, Veron to make potentially what are Owen to Henry, and then Veron down to whichever premium mid I sort of fancy.
You could, yeah, you could very well go that way. I guess, yeah, your big choice is budget and what you can move Owen on to. Who's your three strikers at the moment?
Owen, Van Nistelrooy, and Samba.
Oh, okay, interesting. So yeah, ideally you'd want to be jumping on Thierry Henry, but you'd have to find a way to get there.
Yeah, it's a tough one. How did Villa look in the sim day away at Everton?
I think it was a relatively good game, to be fair, for the two teams.
Because obviously you got Angel there, obviously sort of outshined by Dion a little bit recently, but I feel like he could be potentially a good option for the next two. I mean, they are away, but they're good fixtures, Derby and Everton.
Yeah. I think Everton, from memory, I'm pretty sure Everton came out on top, but Villa did tend to score.
Yeah,
but
you'd expect
it would be a risk.
I feel like Angel will get the odd. I feel like Angel will get the odd goal in that one.
Quite possibly, yeah. I think obviously the biggest fixture to target would be that Arsenal game. The Arsenal were scoring 4 or 5 goals in the sim data, so that's one to target.
Shearer, budget, isn't it?
Yeah, Shearer for Newcastle again looks quite good against Leicester for this week, but I think it's going to be an interesting one with rotation again. You know, it's the time of the year when teams are rotating, fixtures are coming thick and fast, and Man United may well rep well. So it's going to be a fun Thursday, that's for sure. Right, let's jump on to the questions as we're getting on a little bit. First things first, questioning from that man, Craig Kemp. How many Man United will you be starting this week in Champ Man?
Well, if I just use my transfer on Owen, then it will be 3. I'll start all 3 and hope most of them play. But if I'm doing a -4, I'll start with 2. But I think it's like long time I want them, so it feels like I should just play them and hope for the best.
I think that's the general consensus for me as well. As I'm going to play all 3, like I've said. I'm probably going to captain one of them, and then hope for the best. And then obviously, if rotation does hit, then it is what it is at the end of the day. Second question then in from FPL Glasto. Is the double game week better now with Man United and Liverpool's playing in both 35 and 36?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think, yeah, well, I mean, simple answer, yes. But the fact that we now get Liverpool with a double, as we've mentioned, of Southampton and West Brom, and a lot of people have probably already got 2. I think the triple up is probably essential, and I don't say that word a lot. I hate it, but the triple up for Liverpool in that fixture, I think, is key. For me, the triple up will be Salah, Jota, and Trent. That'll be my triple up. I think that'll be quite a popular one, but obviously Jota, with his potential reduced minutes, can still make an impact off the bench. I'm not particularly worried about that, but yeah, now the fact that obviously Man United also play in game week 36 when they were previously blanking, I think it's huge.
Yeah, I mean, it opens up an option for me to potentially move one of my budget defenders to Phillips, back to Phillips, because I'd imagine him to play both games or at least one of them. And obviously at his price, that's quite a luxury.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Right. Question from the infamous Ronarid9. And to be fair, I think we've kind of answered this in our Sky chat, but I'll ask it anyway. A lot of single game days are coming up in Sky. How many are worth just skipping for those without many transfers left? I have 3.
Yeah, I'd skip those 2 we mentioned earlier, to be honest. I think the Leicester one is actually more appealing than the Burnley and the Saints Palace one. But having said that, you probably should have gone earlier with the Leicester game.
Yeah, 100%. With the Leicester game, I think most people have probably got the option. But because Ronald's got 3 transfers, he's in the same boat as me. And I mean, we're at that stage of the season. Why not have a bit of fun with it? You know, if unless you're like desperately trying to stay top of a mini league, I think, go for it. Use a transfer on maybe a Burnley asset, use a transfer on a Palace or Southampton asset, and it could pay off, but it just depends on you have to have it in the mind that those players that you're bringing in, you're keeping for the rest of the season, because that's 2 left and you'll have 1 to go. You're unlikely to use that 1 then on taking 1 out and bringing someone in at that relative price. So yeah, for me, if I do bring in Chris Wood and James Ward-Prowse, they're staying for the rest of the season.
Yeah, obviously you do have to be mindful of like injuries and suspensions. I mean, we've been having a lot recently, and
fuck me, yeah,
they could happen again. More could happen.
Well,
ACL.
I did see Sky Fantasy Football tweeted out the remaining transfers, and the average is 2 across the board, basically. So I think we're all at squeaky bum time now. Right, final question in it's from Steve Bird. Oh, Steve, why do you hate Harry Kewell so much? Because he's fucking shit in this game.
Yeah, so I second that. I had him in my team from Gameweek 1, and I thought, yeah, Harry Kewell is great back in the day. Yeah, not in this game.
No, exactly. No, I don't rate Harry Kewell in Chapman at all. But week in, week out, Steve is always there with the Harry Kewell gif, isn't he? Every week.
He is, and we've started to reply now with some sort of harsher gifs.
Absolutely. And Steve, Steve, word of warning, they're only going to get worse, all right? All right, well, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, James. And obviously I will inevitably speak to you before Chapman on Thursday. But for those that, we won't speak to, we hope you've enjoyed listening to the pod. Good luck planning for double game week 35, and obviously for Chapman and Sky. And we will speak to you soon. It's a goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
Cheers, guys.